In-depth, investigative. This is News 10 NBC at 6.
And we were told all times there was no chance that there was a John Doe that matched Sean's description.
All they needed to do was run his DNA.
Correct.
As a mother searched for her missing son, his body was actually in the county morgue. Think about what you just heard. That mother was actively looking for her son for a year, and she had no idea his body was laying in the medical examiner's office unidentified.
That's because it took the ME's office 9 months to test and confirm his DNA. There's now an internal county review because of what happened and because of the questions Chief Investigative Reporter Berk Breen started asking this week. Berk.
And if a body is not connected to a crime, it is not the priority in the ME's office or the crime lab. That's why the body of Sean Marrero laid in the morgue for 9 months, and his mother had no idea.
Well, I'm very sad that Sean is gone. I'm very grateful to have his body back. And I'm very angry of the way that Sean's situation has been handled.
Sean Marrero was a father of 3 and disappeared 1 year ago. His body was pulled from the Genesee River in April, but in October, I was with his mother and stepfather as they actively searched for him.
This has devastated our family. We are so desperate for information on what happened to Sean.
Maureen Harrison says they called the ME multiple times, including in April, after the body was pulled from the river.
The ME told me, oh, we have no John Doe that could possibly be your son, when they had my son since April 16th. And between April 16th and January 16th, it's torture that we went through. His children, myself, you and I have met before. We hung posters, we did podcasts. Sean was there the whole time.
And we were told the same thing. It's not possible that it's him. There's no way it's him.
Jenny M., as she goes by, runs Western New York Missing and Unidentified Persons. Sean's name was at the top of their list. There are 20 unidentified people in the ME's office right now. Do you think those unidentified people are still considered missing people?
I do. I firmly believe that at least one or more of them could potentially be Jeremy Perez, Jeremy Summers, Nick Alvarez, Tommy Williams, Joel Stephanie. Those are some of the men that are missing in Rochester right now, some of them for 4 or more years.
Why did it take 9 months to identify Sean Marrero?
Well, let me give you some context first, Berkeley.
Gary Walker is the county spokesman. The law says he can't talk about specific cases, but he said because of Sean's case, the county has started a review of how bodies and tests are prioritized. Right now, if a body is connected to a crime, that's the priority. Is that going to change now?
Well, what we're going to do is take the county medical director, Dr. Mendoza, is doing a full review of that to say, yes, we understand that crime is and criminal investigations are priority, but simply we got to do better than the length of time that it took in the individual case you're talking about.
Maureen believes Sean was killed, and she shared some of his final text messages where he feared for his life. But Sean is not listed as a 2023 homicide victim by the RPD.
This is his other brother.
Sean's memorial service was Sunday.
I am so grateful to have him back. And I hope that the other families whose children, whose fathers, whose sons are missing, that somebody does their job and looks in the medical examiner in Monroe County's office and checks and see if they're there. That's what I want to happen.
The ME's office, or the county says the ME's office got 600 new DNA cases last year, and the county crime lab tested 1,300 samples. So you gave a sample of DNA shortly after he went missing?
Yes, I did.
And it was never tested?
Never.
Protests today outside RPD and City Hall by families of missing people. The protests were inspired in part by our investigative reporting that showed one missing person was actually laying in the county morgue for 9 months before DNA confirmed his identity.
One family at the protest told Chief Investigative Reporter Berk Breen they believe the DNA samples they shared with Rochester police 3 years ago have never been tested. Berk?
Yeah, Deanna, they say they gave police DNA samples about a week after their loved one disappeared, but they don't believe the samples have ever been tested on remains at the medical examiner's office. And when we started investigating this issue, there were about 7 remains at the ME's office where forensic science could still work. The protest started outside Rochester Police Headquarters. There was the mother of Tommy Williams, who disappeared 2 years ago.
If they would take things serious in the beginning, he could have been found by now.
There was the brother of Dominique Hawley Grisham, who disappeared in 2009.
I don't know, I just want a lot better. That's all I want to happen. I want to find my brother.
And then there was the family of Nick Alvarez. He disappeared just before Thanksgiving 2020. The family says they submitted DNA. When I arrived, his aunt, whom Alvarez lived with, came out of a meeting with police.
Is going to look into it and try and get some answers as to why things have been stalled in this case.
This month, we exposed the problem of missing people and delays in DNA testing. 4 months after he went missing, the remains of Sean Marrero were pulled from the Genesee River and taken to the ME's office. 6 months later, his mother was still searching for him. She had no idea his body was in the morgue. And it would be another 3 months before DNA proved his identity.
When I first learned about this, I was angry.
After our story, County Executive Adam Bello made 4 changes. A team at the ME's office for regular review of cases of unidentified people, a new administrator, a family liaison, and a new case manager at the crime lab to oversee DNA testing. The family of Nick Alvarez says they gave new DNA samples this month.
So hopefully we will get some answers as to whether Nick is in the medical examiner's office, or at least they have the DNA. If they find something, they can identify Nick.
So RPD has not shared a statement with me just yet, although I've been communicating with them all day. The county is not allowed to talk about any specific cases like Nick's, and the work at the ME's office is ongoing. But since my story with the county executive on February 9th, the county says several remains at the morgue have been identified and the families have been notified. That information is not public, so the county can't share the details with me.
Tonight, Monroe County Republican lawmakers are calling for an investigation after News 10 NBC exposed how long bodies and remains lay in the medical examiner's office without getting tested or identified. It was the story by Chief Investigative Reporter Berkeley Breen that prompted the call. Berk?
Hey, Brett, the county is already investigating, and when my story aired, the county said what's happening does not meet their standard. But tonight, I have new video that shows the county administration has been asked about this problem before.
Because people need to know there's more people that are missing.
My story focused on Maureen Harrison and her son, Sean Marrero. 1 year ago, Marrero disappeared. His body was pulled from the Genesee River in April and taken to the Monroe County Medical Examiner's office. But in October, I was with Maureen and her husband as they put up missing posters in her son's old neighborhood. She had no idea that his body had been lying in the ME's office for 6 months, and it would take another 3 months to test and confirm his DNA.
It's torture that we went through. His children, myself, you and I have met before. We hung posters, we did podcasts. Sean was there the whole time.
The county started an investigation the day of the story.
All right, everybody get together.
There was a protest at the ME's office Sunday. Maureen was there along with other mothers. And now the leader of the Republican county lawmakers sent this letter to the administration.
I'm asking for an entire comprehensive investigation of the medical examiner's office.
Steve Bruce says he and his members have alerted the county before about complaints of delayed testing at the ME's office. And Bruce's office pointed to this exchange at a committee hearing in October between lawmaker Paul Dondorfer and the county's toxicologist.
Through the chair to the administration, have wait times for cases reduced in the recent months?
Through the chair, the wait times are consistent.
So you've been asking these questions before?
Yes, we have.
The policy in the medical examiner's office is that a body tied to a crime gets priority. But I wonder if unidentified people ought to have some level of priority.
Well, you would think that anybody that is lying in the morgue and is unidentified would have some sort of a priority, because you know there's a family out there, okay, that is missing a loved one.
The county gave me this statement today, and it reads, "We have received Republican Conference Leader Brew's letter. County Executive Bello shares the legislator's concern, which is why he ordered a review of the policies and procedures in the Office of the Medical Examiner regarding the identification of human remains and timely notification of families. The county executive is resolved to understand what happened and to take the necessary steps to ensure it doesn't happen again."
And I wonder how you feel about that.
Oh, I feel fantastic about that. That is fantastic.
She suffered a terrible tragedy, but her story will probably help other families. Maureen Harrison spent the last 12 months looking for her missing son. What she didn't know is that his body was lying in the county morgue untested and unidentified. But now, as a result of her story with Chief Investigative Reporter Berkeley Breen, the county executive is ordering changes. Berk?
Right, Adam Bello watched our story last week with Maureen, and then he started an internal review of the medical examiner's office and the county crime lab. And this morning I went to his office to hear about the changes.
When I first learned about this about a week ago, I was angry. This made me mad.
Sean Marrero went missing last January. His body was recovered from the Genesee River in April. So, by the time his mother was searching for him in October, his remains had been in the county morgue for 6 months, and he wouldn't be identified for another 3.
That one identified a problem, Sean's case. That was a problem.
Here are the changes. A team at the ME's office for regular review of cases of unidentified people. A new administrator, a family liaison, and a new case manager at the crime lab to oversee DNA testing.
Is this going to help prevent another Sean Marrero case?
That's the goal.
How unfortunate it took for Sean to be in there for such a long time, for those 9 months that we weren't notified. But how wonderful going forward, other families won't have to walk in our shoes and walk our path.
The county executive called the senior staff from the ME's office and the crime lab to this table. The internal review showed the remains of 7 unidentified people that forensic science can work on.
Did that start in the last week?
No.
That's been going on.
Yes, that's been ongoing.
But
what I can assure you,
but you told them, I want to get answers to this.
That's exactly what I said. I said on day 1, I want to know the full scope of every remain that we have at the ME's office, whether it's a bone fragment from the 70s or whether it's somebody that was turned over to the ME's office last weekend.
Adam Bello told me after his week-long review, he saw 2 problems he wanted to fix. Number 1, the length of time it took to test the DNA of an unidentified person at the ME's office and the communication they had with family.